The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the crowded streets of Lagos. Hawkers shouted prices. Danfo buses screeched as conductors leaned out yelling, Ojulegba, CMS, enter with your change, oh. The air was thick with dust, fried Accra oil, and the heavy weight of survival. In the middle of it all was Amara, barefoot, her once brown dress now faded into a colorless rag. She sat on a cracked pavement with an empty tin cup in her hands. Her hair was tangled, her lips dry, her body weak from hunger. Yet her eyes, big, dark, searching, still held a spark. Amara was no ordinary beggar. Just months ago, she had lived in a small rented room with her father, a retired carpenter who raised her single-handedly after her mother's death. Life was hard, but it was filled with love and faith. Every night, her father told her the same words. My daughter, we may be poor, but we are rich in honesty. Never trade truth for silver, nor kindness for gold. But fate had been cruel. The day her father collapsed at work and never woke up, Amara's life shattered. Relatives turned their backs. Neighbors whispered, and her father's landlord threw her out when she couldn't pay the rent. From that moment, the streets became her home. She begged at traffic lights, slept under bridges, and fought stray dogs for scraps. People mocked her, calling her cursed. Some children threw stones and shouted witch. But Amara endured, her father's words etched in her soul like fire. Never trade truth for silver, nor kindness for gold. One evening, as she sat outside Balogun Market, watching the rush of people heading home, she whispered a desperate prayer. God, if you still see me, give me one chance. Just one chance to prove I'm not worthless. And then it happened. The crowd surged as a convoy of black SUVs swept to the market road, their tinted windows gleaming under the fading sun. People stopped to stare. They knew this kind of convoy only belonged to the high and mighty. In the chaos, something slipped unnoticed from one of the cars and landed near the crates where Amara sat. She blinked. At first, she thought it was trash. But as she picked it up, her heart skipped. It was a wallet, thick, heavy, made of fine black leather. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were neat bundles of crisp $100 bills and a stack of Naira notes. Nestled between them was an ID card. Name, Chief Dominic Egu Okoro. Title, Chairman and CEO, Okoro Global Holdings. A billionaire, one of the richest men in the country. Amara's breath caught. The money inside could change her life forever. Enough to buy food, clothes, maybe even pay school fees and escape this nightmare. For the first time in years, hope sat heavy in her hands. But then, her father's voice echoed in her mind. Never trade truth for silver, nor kindness for gold. Her chest tightened. This was not just money. It was a test. As the convoy disappeared into the distance, Amara clutched the wallet to her chest, her heart pounding with fear and temptation. Around her, the city carried on, vendors haggling, drivers honking, beggars begging. No one knew she was holding a fortune. No one except God. And in that moment, the girl everyone called Curse was faced with a choice that would change her destiny forever. Amara sat frozen on the pavement, clutching the wallet as if it were a bomb about to explode. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She could hear the voices of Lagos around her, bus horns blaring, hawkers bargaining, children laughing in the distance. Yet all of it felt far away. She opened the wallet again. The crisp dollars stared back at her, each one shining like a promise. The Naira bundles seemed to whisper, "Take me, end your suffering." Her fingers brushed over them, trembling. For a moment, she imagined it, a plate of steaming jollof rice with fried chicken, clothes that weren't ripped, maybe even a small room with a mattress instead of the cold pavement. For once, she could sleep without fear of being chased by the rain or bitten by mosquitoes. But then came the darker thoughts. If she kept it, would she live free or live hunted? Surely, the billionaire would notice. Surely, the police would come searching. She could be accused of theft, locked up, or worse. Her throat tightened as she remembered her father's face. Amara, life will test you. Hunger will tempt you. But honesty is the only wealth that no one can steal. She slammed the wallet shut, pressing it against her chest as tears burned her eyes. "Papa, why must this test be so hard?" Hours passed. She sat under the fading light, torn between hunger and truth. Passers-by glanced at her but quickly looked away, dismissing her as just another beggar child. None of them knew the war raging in her soul. Finally, as the sky darkened, she whispered to herself, "I will return it. Even if I die poor, I will not die a thief." The decision made her chest feel lighter, but also filled her with dread. Where would she even find this man? How would a ragged, barefoot girl walk into the world of billionaires? The next morning, she set out. Her first stop was a newspaper stand, where she pointed to the ID card and asked if anyone knew this man. The vendor burst into laughter. You know Sabi Chief Egu Okoro? Nah, and be one of the richest men for Banana Island. Nah, billionaire Wade rubbed shoulders with presidents. Banana Island. The name alone felt like another planet. She had only heard stories. Streets lined with marble mansions, security gates guarded like fortresses, and cars worth more than entire neighborhoods. A place where poverty had no passport. The vendor shook his head, eyeing her ragged dress. "My sister, you fit no even reach gate before dem chase you comet. People like us no day fit enter there." Amara's cheeks flushed with shame, but she clutched the wallet tighter. "I must try." Her journey was brutal. She begged rides on Danfo buses, each conductor eyeing her suspiciously. Some passengers covered their noses because of her smell. Others shifted away, whispering insults. This one looked like witch. See as she day hold bag like she thief am. She ignored them, her eyes fixed on the wallet like a compass guiding her destiny. Hours later, she stood at the towering gates of Banana Island, her bare feet pressed against the smooth, tarred road, her body trembling from exhaustion. The security guards eyed her with suspicion. "Where you day go?" one barked, his rifle glinting under the sun. Amara's voice shook. "Please, I came to return something. This wallet, it belongs to Chief Egu Okoro." The guards roared with laughter. One of them spat on the ground. "So Nayu, smelling like gutter, Weiwan returned billionaire wallet? Madam, shift, we no get time for scam." Her heart broke, but she refused to back down. With shaking hands, she pulled out the wallet and held it up. The guards stopped laughing. Their eyes widened. For a moment, silence fell. One guard snatched it from her hand and opened it. His face drained of color as he saw the ID card and untouched bundles of cash. He glanced at his partner, then back at the girl, as if the ground beneath them had shifted. Without another word, they pressed a button. The massive black gates began to open, slowly, heavily, like the doors of destiny. Amara stepped inside. The air felt different, calmer, cleaner. Palms swayed gently along perfectly paved roads. Fountains sprayed crystal water, and houses rose like palaces with glass walls and golden gates. She had never seen anything like it. It felt like heaven, yet she walked through it in rags. Every step echoed in her chest. The same words circled in her mind. You could have kept it, but you chose the truth. She didn't know what awaited her inside. Punishment or mercy, anger or gratitude. But one thing was certain. Her life was about to change forever. The mansion loomed before Amara like something from another world. White walls stretched high, guarded by statues of lions carved in marble. Fountains danced in the courtyard, and golden lights glowed against polished windows that seemed taller than trees. A maid led her inside, the sound of her bare feet echoing against cold Italian tiles. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above her, walls lined with priceless art, and the scent of imported roses filled the air. She clutched her torn dress tighter around her thin frame, feeling small and unworthy in this palace of wealth. In the grand living room, he was waiting, Chief Dominic Egu Okoro, tall, broad-shouldered, his suit tailored in dark silk. Every detail spoke of power. His eyes, sharp and commanding, rested on her with suspicion. Around him stood his advisors, bodyguards in black, and his daughter Kayamika, seated quietly in her wheelchair, her face pale, her eyes curious. Amara lowered her gaze and held out the wallet with trembling hands. "Sir, I found this. It is yours." The room went still. Egu Okoro rose slowly from his chair, his expression unreadable as he took the wallet. He opened it, counted the notes, examined the ID card. Every kobo was untouched. His eyes lifted back to her. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Amara whispered. "The world knows your name. And you know what you hold in your hands could have fed you for years. Why didn't you keep it?" Tears filled her eyes. "Because my father taught me that stolen wealth destroys. I would rather die poor and clean than live cursed with riches." Murmurs rippled through the room. Some advisors shook their heads, certain she was lying. One man in Igbata sneered. "Chief, this is an act. She stole it and is playing innocent. Such street children are crafty." Egu Okoro's hand shot up, silencing him. His gaze never left Amara. "You speak of honesty, yet I have learned men lie when hungry. Words are cheap." He paused and added, "But actions prove the heart." He clapped his hands once. A servant entered, carrying a tray of steaming food, jollof rice, fried plantains, suya, and chilled water. The aroma filled the room. The servant set the tray before Amara. "Eat," Egu Okoro commanded. Amara's body trembled. The hunger in her belly roared. Her hands twitched toward the food, but stopped. Her eyes lifted to his daughter, frail and silent in the wheelchair. She shook her head. "Sir, how can I eat while your child suffers?" Gasps filled the room. Egu Okoro's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Amara turned to Kayamika. She knelt beside the chair, her tears falling. "Sister, I don't know why God has kept me alive when the world wanted me gone, but I know he gave me one gift, compassion. If you let me, I will help you." Whispers spread like fire. Guards exchanged confused glances. The nurse behind Kayamika covered her mouth in disbelief. Egu Okoro's face hardened. "Help her? You, a girl from the gutter, claim you can do what doctors with billions could not." Amara kept her head bowed. "I have no riches, sir. No medicine, no science. Only faith. If you will let me, I will try." Silence weighed heavy. The billionaire's fist clenched at his side. His empire had bought him everything but a cure for his daughter. He had flown her to London, Dubai, New York, yet she still could not walk. Now a barefoot girl in rags stood before him, daring to promise hope. Finally, his voice thundered. "Very well. If your faith is true, prove it. Heal my daughter." The room erupted in chaos. Some shouted that it was madness. Others whispered that perhaps this was divine. But Amara knelt, calm amidst a storm, her trembling hands resting gently on Kayamika's weak legs. The test had begun. The grand living room grew unnaturally still. Chandeliers flickered as though the house itself was holding its breath. Amara knelt beside Kayamika's wheelchair, her hands trembling but steady, her face shining with tears and determination. Kayamika looked at her father nervously. For years, she had seen the hopelessness in his eyes, the desperation masked behind his wealth. Now she whispered, her voice fragile, "Papa, let her try." The billionaire's jaw tightened. His empire had bought fleets of cars, towers in Victoria Island, villas in Dubai. Yet not even his fortune could purchase his daughter's healing. He nodded stiffly, his gaze fixed on Amara like a hawk watching prey. Amara closed her eyes. Her lips moved silently. Words only her heart could hear. Her father's teachings returned to her. Honesty is wealth. Faith is power. Kindness is destiny. She laid one hand gently on Kayamika's cold leg, the other clasping her thin hand. Minutes stretched like hours. Nothing happened. The guards shifted uncomfortably. The nurse sighed. An advisor in Igbata sneered, whispering, "Another fraud. Chief, she is mocking you." Then a flicker. Kayamika gasped. Her toes twitched. The nurse's eyes widened. The guards froze. Egu Okoro's chest tightened. Again, this time stronger. Her foot jerked violently, as if remembering life. Kayamika's breathing quickened. She stared at Amara, her eyes wide with shock. I feel something. Papa, I feel." A murmur swept the room. Egu Okoro took a step forward, unable to believe his eyes. "What is happening?" Amara's tears spilled as she whispered, "Stand, sister." You can do it. Don't be afraid. No, I can't. I've tried before. I always fall, Kayamika whimpered. Amara held her tighter. Not by yourself, but with faith. The nurse hesitated, then placed her hands under Kayamika's arms. The billionaire stood frozen, his heart pounding like a war drum. With trembling effort, Kayamika pressed her bare feet to the polished floor. Her legs shook violently, weak as though carved from straw. She cried out, sweat pouring down her forehead. Steady her, Amara urged, her voice trembling with hope. Slowly, shakily, she pushed herself upright. 1 second, 2 seconds. Her knees buckled, then steadied. And then, against all odds, Kayamika took a step. The sound of her foot against marble rang like thunder in the room. Another step. Her lips trembled. She let go of the nurse's arm, tears cascading down her cheeks. Papa, look. I'm walking. The room erupted. The nurse dropped to her knees, weeping. Guards covered their mouths in disbelief. The advisors who had sneered fell silent, their eyes wide with fear and awe. And the billionaire, Chief Eguo Koro, the lion of the business world, the man who never bowed to anyone, fell to his knees before his daughter. He caught her in his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. My child, you walk again. His tears soaked her hair. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving her back to me. Kayamika laughed through tears, clinging to her father. For the first time in years, joy burst from her chest. Amara collapsed to the floor, overwhelmed. Her thin body shook as she cried, not from pain, but from release. The voices that called her cursed, worthless, a witch, they no longer mattered. In this moment, the truth of who she was shone brighter than gold. The billionaire turned to her, still holding his daughter. His eyes, once filled with suspicion, now burned with gratitude. Amara, he said, his voice breaking, you have done what the world's richest men could not. You have given me back my daughter. From this day forward, you will never be called beggar, witch, or cursed again. You are family. The hall shook with applause, not from wealth, but from awe. And for the first time in her life, Amara felt what it meant to belong. The mansion was no longer silent. Music filled the halls. Laughter echoed where sorrow had once lived, and servants moved about with joy in their steps. For the first time in years, the billionaire's home was alive. Kayamika walked slowly across the courtyard, still weak but free from her chair. Every step she took was a victory, every smile a miracle. People gathered around to witness it, some kneeling in prayer, others clapping with tears in their eyes. At the center of it all stood Amara, the homeless girl who once slept under bridges, who once fought stray dogs for scraps, who once carried the shame of being called cursed. Now, she was dressed in clean clothes, her hair washed and braided by the mansion's maids, her face radiant with glow she never knew she had. Chief Eguo Koro called the household together. His voice, always commanding, now trembled with humility. All my life, I thought money could solve every problem. I believed there was nothing gold could not buy. Yet here stands a girl with no wealth, no name, no home, and she has given me the one thing money could not, the life of my daughter. The advisors bowed their heads. Even the arrogant ones who had doubted her now stood silent, ashamed of their pride. The billionaire turned to Amara. His eyes glistened. From today, this is your home. You will be educated in the best schools, clothed with honor, and treated with the dignity you deserve. You are no longer a beggar. You are my daughter, too. A cheer went up in the courtyard. Kayamika ran to Amara, hugging her tightly. You saved me, she whispered. But more than that, you showed me what faith looks like. For the first time in her life, Amara wept not from sorrow but from joy. She remembered her father's words. Never trade truth for silver, nor kindness for gold. She had held on to those words when all else was lost, and now they had become her crown. Days turned into weeks. Amara's life transformed. She studied, she grew, she thrived. Yet she never forgot the nights she spent on the streets. She used her new life not to boast, but to help. She opened small programs for other homeless children, feeding them, clothing them, telling them, you are not cursed. You are not forgotten. You are destined. The city that once spat on her name now spoke of her as a living miracle. The story of the homeless girl who returned a billionaire's wallet became legend, a tale whispered in markets, taught in schools, preached in churches and mosques. And through it all, Amara never let pride enter her heart. She remained the same humble girl who had chosen honesty over wealth, kindness over survival, and faith over despair. What the story teaches. This tale is more than riches and miracles. It is a mirror for every heart. Honesty is wealth. Amara could have kept the wallet, but by choosing truth, she gained more than money could ever buy. Rejection is not the end. Though cast out and mocked, her destiny was greater than the lies spoken about her. Faith unlocks the impossible. Where doctors failed, where money ended, faith carried a victory. Kindness shapes destiny. Her compassion for a stranger became the bridge to her future. No one is disposable. Even those the world calls cursed may be chosen as vessels of greatness. And so, the girl who once begged on the streets became the daughter of a billionaire, proving that destiny does not ask where you start, only how faithfully you walk your path.